Okay.
We'll start there. All right, we are recording. Welcome to our forms class on March the 16th. Welcome to have everybody. Glad to have everybody. So we will get started with questions about specific forms that you might have that you're working on, and I can share my forms with you. We can go through them together. Is that okay? Does that sound good?
Yes.
Great. So we've briefly talked about termination of contract and due diligence money this morning on the 390T and the 391T. Last week we went through some offer to purchase and seller documents. Does anybody have any new questions on either of those that they may be working with?
What is the unrepresented seller disclosure? Is that for like when you're not legally, don't have a listing?
That's a for sale by owner.
Okay.
And so you are representing the buyer only. And this is a form that people have, both parties have to, well, I like to have everybody sign an agreement.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Everybody feels comfortable with the offer to purchase, the buyer agency agreement, lead-based paint we talked about last week.
I do have a question with the lead-based paint. You know that it has 2 check boxes?
Yes.
I don't know how to.
At the bottom?
Yes, where the buyers have to initial, and then there's like 2 check boxes for them. I think it says the buyer knows that they can evaluate the home during the due diligence. Like, yeah, those 2 on page 1.
Uh-huh.
They can check both boxes or one or the other.
One or the other. So,
okay.
I recommend that you talk about it.
Yes.
Explain the due diligence period and let them know that they can have a professional come in and diagnose the paint if they
Correct.
choose to at their expense.
Okay.
Or if the house has been remodeled, or if it looks like there's fresh paint, you can explain everything's encapsulated, it looks to be fine, but it's completely up to you and your preference as the buyer. So they can choose to have it remediated, or they can waive the opportunity.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
And they can change that at any time. You're
Perfect.
welcome. Any other questions on lead-based paint? We got a quiet group now. Let's see, agency agreement. Does everybody understand how to fill that out properly and completely? We want the general location to be county specific if possible.
En esa misma forma, en la segunda página, hay una firma para que un agente firme. ¿Quién firma? ¿Quién inicia eso? ¿El listing agent o el buyer agent?
Sí, pero esa es la letra.
Sí.
Melissa?
Yes?
Hello? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay, in the same form, lead-based paint, in the page number 2, there is only one space for somebody to sign.
No, the initial.
To initial.
The agent.
Is that the seller or the buyer?
Agent. Whose agent in the top of the on the top of the form? Which agent is who has to initial, the buyer agent or the listing agent?
Oh, on the top. That is the listing agent. The listing agent is
Which
the
one?
top.
Say
On
that again?
and
Listing. Listing agent? Yeah, she's.
yes, the listing agent signs that because they represent the seller.
So the
Okay,
listing
question.
agent. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, Melissa.
Hi.
I have a question. I have a buyer about to go under contract because they like the counter offer. And I wanted to know because the disclosures and the M&O and the lead base, the seller signed the bottom but didn't check yes, no, or no representation. They didn't check anything and they just signed the form.
I would send it back to the listing agent and ask them if that was intentional or if they need to fill it out.
Okay.
They should be filling it out. That's the
They
proper
probably
way to do it.
just initialed it and that's it. They didn't even read it.
Yes, yeah. Somebody's not guiding them properly. But yes, just go back to the seller's agent and said, you know, just let them know, I reviewed the documents. They're not really filled out. Could you get me a completed copy? And they'll usually do it. Sometimes they upload the wrong thing and there's no signatures. The whole page is blank. So mistakes happen to all of us. So just reach
Okay.
out to them and they'll probably fix it.
Okay.
Okay, so moving right along, we can go over a buyer packet or a seller's packet. Which would you guys feel most beneficial?
Seller's packet.
All right. So we're responsible for communicating with our sellers and explaining to them how to fill out the lead-based paint, asking the questions. Most of the time, it's the exact same answers on the gas and mineral rights form. But you do want to ask. And I have seen people say no to number 1 and no to number 4, but it's hard to determine that that answer is truly no, because we're not sure what people did 100 years ago or what has gone on that piece of property through the centuries. So the mineral rights are severed for the property. Unless you have a record of that, you probably don't know. So I would recommend no representation for number 1. And then you want to ask the seller, have they personally severed the mineral rights for the property? Have they sold any rights to the ground? Yes or no, have they personally sold it? And do they personally intend to in the near future? And then number 4 is the same as number 1. So 100 years ago, unless there's documentation, we do not know what happened on that land. So I would encourage them to be as honest as possible at no representation. And then again, we would ask, has the individual seller severed any rights personally, gas rights and oil rights personally to the property for number 5? And then do they have intentions of doing so in the near future for the sale? So that would be number 6. And that is a 1-page form that's super easy. You put the property address, the owner's name, signatures, and then you upload to the CMLS so that it accompanies your listing online.
Melissa, this is Sabine. I have a question. I have seen on the listing where the number 1 and number 4, the seller put no, like you mentioned. So in that case, should you tell the listing agent to have them fill out another one?
I don't think it's necessary. I I just feel like they probably didn't understand the question, right? So they're speaking for themselves because they would have no idea what happened on that land all those many years ago. I don't think it would throw up a red flag. Now, if it was yes, then you would definitely seek documentation as to why they answered yes. But the no, I think you're still good. But for us, lantern agents, we want to get it right the first time. So just make sure when you're explaining it to your sellers that they are filling it out properly.
Okay, thank you.
Lead-based paint. We've talked about this one a time or two today. Making sure that the property is filled out, the seller information, which would be your clients in this instance. The buyer would be left blank. Talk to your seller and see if the house was built prior to 1978. Do they have any documentation of lead-based paint hazards? They could and they may not. So that's where you address it in A and B. And then you leave the buyer acknowledgement section blank. As the seller's agent, you will address F with your initials that you inform the sellers of their obligation and that they're aware of their responsibility to the compliance. So that would be the seller's agent. And then you would fill out the sellers, they would sign, the sellers would sign. Pretty simple, but you only use this form if the house was built before 1978, okay? The residential property disclosure should be filled out to the best of your seller's ability. I think there's one on here. We'll add it. Okay. So I would strongly encourage you to please read over these forms before you get to your client's house, because you don't want to stumble on the words, or you want to know what they're asking of us. So the first page is just declaring that your clients are going to be as honest as possible. They're going to disclose, and they have the responsibility to disclose any issues. And you put your property address, print your owner's name, and then get your owner's signatures. That's page 1. Page 2 is where we get into the nitty gritty, and you put the property address and the description on the top 2 lines. We research, you can find this on the tax records, when the home was constructed. The owners may know it, but I always like to compare their answer to what the county has. And then again, making sure that you clearly can read these questions. Some buyers are like, or some sellers, they're like, okay, I can fill this out on my own. And then they get to something like, well, what does that mean? Or why is it asking me that? So just be mindful of the terminology. So they want to know about the roof. They want to know what the exterior is made out of. If there's any leaks, dampness, standing water, right? So if there's dampness, we should be disclosing it. Leaks, malfunctions to the home's electrical system, outlets, wires, paneling, switches, fixtures, generator. They have a list of all kinds of things, okay? Again, we have the water seepage in the basement, crawl space, or slab. How old the heating unit is, and what type of furnace we have, or if it's a heat pump or a furnace. What fuel source we use in the home. The water supply, do they have a well? Do they have city water? What are the pipes made of? Sometimes you need to look under the kitchen sink and see what pipes you see. Let's see, what else do we have here? If we have a septic tank or if we're hooked to a city sewer. How many bedrooms are on the septic permit if you have a well, if you have a septic in the county? How many bedrooms were approved for that parcel? So we want to make sure that we're not advertising more bedrooms than what the county says we can have. Okay. This one's kind of picky. Is there any problems, malfunctions, defect with number 19, with the central vacuum, the pool, hot tub, spa, attic fan, exhaust fan in your master bathroom, ceiling fan, sump pumps, irrigation system, TV cable wiring or satellite dish, garage door openers, gas logs, or other systems? So that covers a lot of material in that one question, number 19. So make sure that they understand and you're reading, if you're helping them, go through each individual item so that we're representing the home to the best of our ability. Okay? So that's on page 2 and 3 that they ask specific questions regarding the home, and then it rolls into HOA. Please try to fill out as much information about the HOA as possible. It just helps everybody involved, and you don't have any holdups at the closing because they could not get in touch with the HOA for a transfer. And then if there is an HOA indeed on page 4, we want to make sure that we advise to the best of our knowledge, or your seller's knowledge, what those HOA fees cover. Do they cover management fees, insurance, landscaping, common areas, trash removal? Some are yes, some are no, and some your clients may not know. Water, sewer, stormwater, internet service, cable, private road maintenance, parking area maintenance, gate, and or security. So we want to try to fill that out again to the best of our ability. And then have your sellers initial the bottom of pages 2, 3, and 4. All fun things. When I am working on a listing appointment, that form is probably the longest form because they have to pull out their service records to try to find, the best answers to those questions. So that is the most time consuming, I would say, on my listing appointment, after the home tours and finding out all the good stuff. Any other questions in regards to those primary documents needed? And you upload the MOG, the lead-based paint, and your residential property disclosure to the CMLS with your listing. Sometimes agents put their measurements on there as well. That's okay. As long as you have them in your file, you don't necessarily have to upload them to the CMLS. So make sure that you are doing measurements. You get so excited and you get this paperwork filled out. You may need to go out there with your tape measure, put it on your checklist. If you don't feel comfortable doing measurements, please hire somebody. You want to make sure that they are done. We talked about the coming soon form. This happened to me recently. I had a property coming soon. We had an ideal marketing date. And this coming soon form just advises that you cannot show the property until the approved date. Okay? So you can put it coming soon, but you must list on your sign in the front yard. You cannot just have a standard for sale sign. If it is coming soon and not active, you have to have a coming soon rider. Okay, so please make sure that you're aware if you're listing anything coming soon and you're using a sign in the front yard, it has to have the rider coming soon. Or it could be misrepresentation because the house is not available. So just a reminder, it cannot be shown until it's active status. Here's one thing that kind of got me, and I wanted to make sure because I have had clients that were super excited about it coming soon. We get in the MLS, it's coming soon in 3 days. We put our appointment in there. We're going to be the first ones. We're going to be there to show it. And then all of a sudden, I have it switched to active before it's even the coming soon date, and then under contract. And I'm like, how in the world does that happen? Well, it happened to me last week. So I had a coming soon that was supposed to go live on Friday of last week. I put it coming soon Sunday night, so a week ago, Sunday. And within 24 hours, I had 3 offers. The doors had never even been open on the house. And they are offering me really good cash offers, 3 different ones. So what I had to do was present those to the sellers, but out of courtesy for myself, and I feel like this is what other agents should do as well, as soon as I had multiple offers, I changed the status in showing time to email blast everybody, because we had 10 showings lined up for Friday, the day we hit the market. We were available from 12 to 5 every 30 minutes. So for those 5 hours, we had it booked, 10 showings straight. So out of courtesy, and I feel like this helps us stay out of trouble, I emailed everybody who had requested a showing for that Friday and said, we have had multiple offers. Please submit highest and best by whatever date. And to me, that gave them the opportunity, even though no one had been in the house yet. I didn't even have interior pictures, but no one had been in the house. That gives the people who were waiting patiently for Friday to come an opportunity to be in the running for this offer. So we did get a couple different offers. And so at that point, we changed the status from coming soon to active. And then we had a deadline that says highest and best by 8 p.m. on X date. I presented all of the offers at 8 p.m. They decided at 9:30 that night. I moved it from active to under contract. But you want to make sure as soon as you're negotiating that you've moved it from the coming soon status to active. So let's just say that same scenario, this company who has put in an offer on the home, they're paying cash. I have listed it as coming soon, then active, now under contract. If for some reason this company or buyer backs out, I cannot list that thing coming soon again. So number 4, it says the listing broker may not relist a property in coming soon no show status unless the listing has been expired or withdrawn status for more than 90 days. So I can't put it back on the market as coming soon. I would have to immediately transition back to active. Does that make sense to everybody? So it has to be off the market or withdrawn for at least 90 days before we can use that status again. Very important, because we don't want to misuse coming soon. And again, number 5 is we should only promote or advertise the property as coming soon. That is a reminder about our rider. Or if we're doing internet posts or internet marketing, it has to have coming soon. Okay. And then number 6, it just goes into detail about how to switch it over and changing it in showing time to make sure that we are covering all of our bases. And then this is where you list the property, the seller's signature, the listing agent, and your broker in charge. Member participant signature is your BIC. So please make sure you send this to your BIC so that everybody's on board with making sure that you're following the right rules, okay? If for some reason you violate a rule in regards to this coming soon, I think it's a $1,000 fine. So I wouldn't want to deal with it. Are there any questions about coming soon, understanding how we do it, and what is the proper way to handle it? Are y'all sleeping on me again?
I just drank a whole lot of coffee, so I'm wide awake.
Okay, perfect. And if I'm talking too fast, please let me know. Okay, so that is coming soon. We can do a listing agreement if you'd like. So this is the right to sell the property, okay? So as a reminder, this agreement is with your clients and Lantern Realty. So it is not you personally, it's with the firm. Terms of the agreement, you can do it from the effective date, or you can select an individual date for the agreement to go into effect. Number 2 is your property. You want to make sure that you fill out your street address, city, county, zip code. And then you can go to your Rowan, well, you can do Rowan County, Cabarrus County, your GIS system to make sure that you get the parcel ID, the legal description, the booking page that the deed is recorded on. All of that information is available.
I have a question with Melissa. What if it's like a double wide? And like I'm trying to help the person list this property, but it doesn't show as mobile, like a mobile home on the deed. It just, I feel like it just states as a parcel, like as a.
Right. So unless you've got the release from the DMV, you are only selling the real property, which is the land.
Oh, okay, okay.
So there is, when we get down here, they talk about mobile homes, and there is a tag, a metal tag. Sometimes it's near the tongue, like on the ends of the trailer. I've seen it on the back right of the mobile home, but it's a metal piece, and it has VIN numbers, and you will need to obtain that
to sell that with the property.
Yes. So you'll need to there's a place on this form, we'll get to it in just a couple pages, where you would fill that out. But this part right here, the legal description, is for the land. Okay. Explain to your sellers that they are selling everything that is attached to the walls, screwed into the walls, garage door openers, mirrors. I've had really cute mirrors get gone, and we're like, what happened? Because that's attached to the wall, you know, in the bathroom. Put it back. Curtain rods have been taken down, and they were advertised in pictures. So just be mindful, if there are items that your client does not want to convey with the sale of the property, I encourage them to take a different angle. We will leave it out of the photo. That way there's no questions. You can always write, these items do not convey, but if you're marketing that beautiful chandelier in the foyer, people are gonna ask to buy that. And so you could just have it replaced before you take the pictures to what they are okay with conveying or selling. Or you could just take a different angle and just not have it in there at all. So be mindful. The stoves, range, and ovens, built-in appliances, attached microwave oven, and a vent hood are all fixtures. Ceiling fans, light fixtures, etc. Floor coverings, attached floor coverings, sump pumps, swimming pools, storage sheds, utility sheds, mailboxes. So all of those things need to be reviewed. Fuel tanks. Okay, so moving right along, are there any items that are leased or your sellers do not own? So these could be fuel tanks, like propane tanks that they're renting from the propane company. They could be antennas, satellite dishes like Dish Network, receivers, alarm security systems. Some of those companies will come back or have you turn in those equipment. So we want to make sure that you list anything that is leased or not owned by your sellers. E, ask other items that do not convey. This would be identify items to be excluded under this subparagraph A and B. This is where we list the items that do not want to be sold. Okay, so if it is a fixture in the living room, this is where you would want to list that. Any personal property that shall be transferred to the buyer at no value or closing. So remember, personal property would be your refrigerator. So if the seller wants to sell the house with the refrigerator, go ahead and put it there. Washer and dryer are also items of personal property. So if they're okay with leaving their washer and dryer, insert it there on number 4 with personal property. Okay? Number 5 talks about the seller and are they going to offer upfront a home warranty? Yes or no? It is not required. Most buyers are asking for a home warranty these days, but this is specifically asking if your sellers are going to offer a home warranty. Okay? Number 6 is the listing price. This is what we're going to go and put as the marketing purchase price on the property. And preferred financing. Some listings have this on them specifically and some don't. It comes on the MLS sheet at the top section in the middle. It says preferred financing. That's where you're going to ask your client, okay, are you okay to accept cash on your home? Are you okay with an FHA loan? And explain FHA and what that means for the seller. The inspections, the repairs that may have to be made. Same for the VA. USDA, does it even fall within those boundaries? We need to make sure before we just go checking yes, 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 that it even qualifies for a USDA loan. Conventional loan. We love conventional loans. Loan assumption, I don't even get into that, and seller financing, I don't recommend those either, but if that's what he or she wants to do, have that discussion. All right, so the firm's compensation will be 3% or whatever you agree with your client, okay? You have the ability to make this agreement with your client, so just make sure that you note it there, whatever you're going to charge them. It gives you the opportunity to, down on the next page, page 4, is to divide that out. Okay, so let's just say you are doing this family a favor. They have $1 million house. You know that the, if we off, at 6%, that is $60,000. That's a lot of money. So you're going to give them a break. You're going to only charge them 4%, and you're going to split that. So however you want to split it, whether you keep 3% of the 4%, or you're going to do half, or maybe you're offering 3% to the buyer's agent and you only keep 1%. I've seen it happen just to get the deal and to get the listing. Listing agents have reduced their commission and offered more to the buyer's agent. But I've also seen it where the seller's agent spends lots of money on prepping the house, getting it ready, helping their sellers with exterior items, helping them get paint, helping them, pay for cleaning services. I've seen a seller's agent do the works on photos, presentation pamphlets. All of that stuff costs money. So they may say, no, I, as the seller's agent, am going to get a higher percentage because I've already paid out all this money and I want to recoup more than what the buyer's agent is going to get. So here's your opportunity to have that discussion with your sellers and divide it out however you see fit. Okay. So again, we talk about the firm's duties, that we're going to have our best efforts to find a buyer. We're going to disclose material terms of offer, other professional services, that they are an understanding of that. And then here we are about, well, we're not going to discriminate. So make sure that you understand this bold: the agent firm shall conduct all brokerage activities in regards to the agreement without respect to race, color, religion, sex, national origin, handicap, or familial status. So make sure you have your client's initial there, that everybody's in understanding. And then marketing. How are we going to market the property? Are we going to put a sign in the front yard, use directionals? Are we going to have an open house? Advertise on the internet? Here's an opportunity for coming soon. And then other advertising other than the internet. So maybe you're doing flyers. You're going to pass them out to the neighborhood. So here is the opportunity to select what type of marketing you're going to provide for your sellers. Moving right along, a lockbox. Do the sellers give you permission to place a lockbox on the property? Exclusive, office exclusive. Are we going to list this only to Lantern as an office exclusive? So I know that my sellers want everybody under the sun to see their property so they can get more offers. Ask your sellers about flood hazard insurance. Do they have any? Is the exterior of their home made out of synthetic stucco? Is there an HOA, homeowners association? If so, you can use the same information from the residential property disclosure and just fill it in right here. Under C, item number 12. Is it new construction? There's your opportunity to say if it is or not. Is there a termite bond and does it transfer? How long has your owner had the property? Less than a year, more than a year, or they don't even own the property? Have you provided samples? This is why I always like to have my samples distributed first thing. The seller acknowledges receipt of an offer to purchase sample, and they also acknowledge receipt of professional disclosures and election form. So make sure that you on F, that you say yes, that they've had a copy. Do you have a lien, or do your sellers own a mortgage or have a mortgage on the property? Yes or no? Are they in bankruptcy? Do they feel like they're on the edge of bankruptcy? Are they leasing the property? These are all information that you need to know, right? So you can properly market it. Have they had an FHA appraisal in the last 4 months? Yes or no? Special assessments. There are neighborhoods that have an HOA, but then maybe the HOA money is not enough to repave all the roads. So they will issue a special assessment. And that says every homeowner has 3 years at this monthly payment, or you can make a one lump sum payment. But at the end of this 3-year period, we need this much money as a special assessment. So it's a real thing. And just make sure that your seller knows if there are any special assessments. Here's the mobile home or manufactured home question. This is where we fill out the VIN number that we're going to find on that little metal piece, and the year and model to the best of your knowledge or your owner's knowledge. Sometimes they have the paperwork. That I just ask my sellers to leave that in a kitchen drawer, or tell me where in the cabinet they're going to leave it, any documentation they have, so that it is readily available. Are there any fuel tanks on the property? If so, what's in them? And are they owned, leased, etc.? Seller's duties is to fill out the residential property disclosure that we've talked about to the best of their ability, as well as the mineral oil and gas rights and the lead-based paint hazard addendum. Okay? And if there's any restrictive covenants affecting the property, that should be shared. Okay? Home inspection. Does the seller agree or not agree to obtain and pay for a home inspection? That's the seller. Now remember, most buyers are going to do that. So if your client wants a home inspection, maybe they have some questions about a couple items and they're like, well, let's just get it inspected and then I'll fix them. That's okay. And they can do that and share that information if they'd like, disclose that information. Photos and other material. So make sure that you are mindful of the photos. Personal property, I want to make sure that all of my clients' jewelry, any guns or items that they would not want to have wide open on the open internet, we want to be mindful of those photos. Okay. Additional terms and conditions, if you have anything else you need to add to the agreement. Dual agency, remember this is dual agency in two ways. Dual agency in regards to Lantern. A buyer's agent bring a Lantern buyer's agent coming to purchase a Lantern selling property. So that's two Lanterns in one transaction. So we have dual agency that way. And then we have dual agency where it's one broker for Lantern being the seller's agent and one broker for Lantern being the buyer's agent, same broker. So we want to make sure that they all parties know what dual agency means, okay? And are they okay with it? Are they okay to have that dual agency? Yes or no? Are they okay with not having it? Or in addition to E, designated agent. Seller hereby authorizes the firm to designate an individual agent to represent the seller. Okay? All fun things, and I know that this is like, just repeat from, I think it was post licensing 303 or maybe 302, where we go through all these forms. And you're so new, you don't really even know what they're talking about. But now we're in the nitty gritty of all the fun, and we see these forms quite often. So on the very last page, it says, just making sure that you are asking your sellers, do you have any questions? Is there anything that could be confusing or that you don't have clear understanding on? Here's the opportunity to make sure everybody's of sound mind and they're filling it out and they're in agreement that they understand what they're signing. Get their personal information, their home, work, cell, email. I typically get one phone number and an email address, and call it a day. And then at the very bottom would be your information, the agent's firm license number, firm phone number, address, your signature, date, email, and your phone number. And you are done. So 12 long pages of the listing agreement, but it's very informative for everybody. So make sure you read over it and you understand it as well so that you can answer any questions your sellers may have. Any other questions today before we call it a day? 52 minutes of fun. Listening to forms. Anybody else? Any other questions?
I think you did a fabulous job.
Yes, I agree.
Oh, you're great. I love it. Well, I appreciate your time, and I'll see you in 2 weeks. If there are anything that you come across in the next 2 weeks that you're like, man, I wish I would have asked her, please email me. We can discuss it, and that way I can research, and then we can discuss it and share, because you're probably not the only one that has questions about a particular form. So be in touch. I'm available most anytime. Otherwise, I'll see you in 2 weeks, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.